Did you know that BDSM and kink are healthy outlets for aggression, imagination, and attention? Hi, and welcome to The Partition, home of kinky wellness. My name is Dana Slosser, and I'm a sexual wellness coach that dives deep into all things kinky. I'm here to show how BDSM and kink deserves a rightful spot within the sexual wellness conversation. So, let's talk about it. Hey, and welcome back. Today, I want to talk about 3 important questions I think that you need to ask yourself before getting into a power exchange partnership. Now, just to refresh here, a power exchange partnership is exactly what it sounds like. It's the exchange of power and control, with one partner gaining control while the other is giving theirs up. In order to make this work, you need at least 2 people to each take on one of these roles. There's different names for these roles, such as dom or sub or top and bottom, but here we're going to stick to sub and dom today. So let's start with what a dom or a dominant isn't. So a dom is not someone who can just come in and do whatever they want when they want. A dom is someone who actually can influence others to their will, voluntary and consensually. A dom genuinely gains enjoyment by taking responsibility for their submissive's pleasure while providing guidance or discipline and comfort. But remember, it's only when a dom meets the requirements and standards set by their sub that they can even earn submission properly. All actions and their limits exercised by either party, so a dom and a sub, during a scene always has to be agreed upon before anything starts. So in contrast to that, submissives, they don't explicitly grant permission to dominant personalities. Just because someone's dominant doesn't mean that someone's willing to submit to them, because what someone submits to is as unique as the individual themselves. So there's some people who prefer submitting to a greater feminine energy, while there's others that prefer more masculine energy. But regardless, the power to submit is completely up to you and what you decide. A super important note to make is submission should only be granted to those who you deem worthy. Submission is not an entitlement or an automatic response. It's an earned reaction. There should be no pressure, no antagonizing, no bullshit that comes with that. So with these roles, each partner can create and personalize scenes to express the other versions of themselves. But even before that, a little refresher here as well. A scene is the umbrella term that includes what activities and actions partners will be doing within the designated time. Scenes can also be referred to as play sessions, but regardless of what you call them, they come with some rules and guidelines. So setting boundaries, limits, safe words are of course mandatory to keep all partners as safe as possible and accountable for their actions. All partners need to give consent willingly, clearly, and explicitly, without pressure, intimidation, or something that's blocking their best judgment. And consent doesn't have a contractual obligation, so anyone can take it back at any time. If they don't want to do anything, they can just quit, or if you don't want to do anything, you can withdraw your consent. But consent is serious, and it separates scene engagements from assault. For more information on the BDSM basics for partnership, I highly encourage you to check out my e-learning. But for the first question you need to ask yourself before going into a power exchange partnership is, how self-aware are you? Self-awareness is defined as conscious knowledge of one's own character, feelings, motives, and desires. Now, this question is harder to answer than you might think. There's many people out there that think they're self-aware but aren't. And due to the level of vulnerability within a power exchange relationship, possessing a strong sense of self-awareness is necessary for protecting your mental, emotional, physical, and sexual well-being, as well as your partner's. You need to know when you're hurting someone. And if you know that you're hurting someone, you need to be self-aware enough to change that behavior or to fix it. And vice versa. You need to be self-aware enough when someone's disrespecting you as well. That little gut feeling inside of you that's telling you that someone's disrespecting you. You also need to be aware enough on why you want to enter a power exchange relationship or partnership. Is it to release feelings or give yourself a platform for self-expression? Are you looking to gain a specific type of attention or connection? Entering a power exchange relationship isn't an escape, nor should any of these types of partnerships ever be used as one. It is your responsibility to ensure that you're entering a power exchange relationship from a healthy state of mind. So this is why talking with a sexual wellness coach or a therapist might be helpful at the very beginning of your kinky wellness journey or your sexual wellness journey. But know that self-awareness is more than just your emotional and mental acknowledgments. You need to extend this into physical strength. So acknowledging your physical effects of your experience on yourself and the physical impact on your partner is crucial for you to maintain safety for everyone. You need to be aware enough that not all pain is the same, and listen to your body's responses intently and act accordingly. This is super important. If your body is screaming, hey, I actually don't like this, and you're ignoring it, then are you really self-aware? But back to an example of physical strength, self-awareness would be recognizing the force of your body against another person and what it can give, right? So most people are stronger than they think, and registering when you and your partner have had enough are just equally as important. So there are different levels of force and intensities our bodies can give, and when you play with someone, you have to remember not to lose focus of the force or intensity within the power exchange excitement. So slow and steady is the best course of action when you are exercising your physical strength, if you are getting to that level. Because remember, what you consider a light touch might be really going overboard for others. And how self-aware are you with how you like to be touched? Recognizing that a good grip around the throat is just as arousing as a grip around the waist lets you precisely tell someone how you want to be touched. And our bodies need attention everywhere, so don't just focus on a few areas. There are days when the snap of a firm hand is more arousing than the embrace of a sweet, loving hug. And there's days where the hug means more than the snap of the wrist. You know what I mean? There's different days. Different days require different types of attention. And what gives you that butterfly feeling will evolve and change with everyday experiences. So make sure you take time to reflect on the experiences that you do have, so you don't let other experiences kind of slip you by because you didn't check in with yourself. It is healthy to have some form of self-talk every day. And having a chance to reflect on new experience lets you analyze how they make you feel. There isn't just one version of arousal. And you need to know that learning about ourselves can be emotional. And yes, learning about ourselves can be uncomfortable at times because we have to stand up for ourselves. But it's a necessary step towards self-acceptance, happiness, and understanding our emotional and physical body. And being self-aware within a power exchange relationship opens the doors for you to build deeper connections, because you can intentionally move towards partners who want similar or complementary outcomes or experiences. But before you start analyzing other people, you need to analyze your own strengths and weaknesses. And from the lens of self-awareness, ask yourself, what physical, emotional, and mental support are you able to offer? What are you willing to do, and what are you not willing to do? What limits do you want tested, pushed, examined, and what limits are yours are just firm? These questions all require honesty and self-awareness to answer them. And having a better understanding of what you can offer allows you to be a better partner. And once you understand your actions and characteristics and responsibilities, then you can start not necessarily to examine other people's characteristics and why they are, but you can start to see, hey, these people have characteristics that I like, and you can move towards them. But hey, some people look for similar interests, but some look for different. Some people look for things, for partners that are into things that they don't know about, so they can get a new perspective or to try something different. But regardless, if you want someone to try new things with, or if you just want to go deeper into one specific thing, finding a partner becomes more manageable when you actually know what type of experiences you want, or at least you have some sort of ballpark idea. I know being responsible for our own happiness can be uncomfortable at times. Listen, we've all been there. I know it involves enforcing boundaries and limits in the moment that they come up, and sometimes we don't want to deal with it, but we have to. Fantasies will inevitably grow and evolve, but knowing when to walk away from a situation never changes, making it that much more important to know when to move away from partners as well. This also counts under self-awareness. You need to be self-aware with how they make you feel. There's a hard line between someone being controlling and you granting them control, just as there is this hard line between giving submission and being forced into submission. If you feel that your boundaries and limits are continually being pushed, or you feel that your voice isn't being heard, it's time to walk away from that interaction and that person. You're not going to be good for everyone, and not everyone is going to be good for you. So trust your gut and listen to that inner voice when you know you aren't being respected. Sex is a highly vulnerable space, and the first person you need to protect is yourself. Self-awareness also gives you control over the who, what, where, when, and why. And it helps you set standards on how you want to be treated while seeing how your actions affect other people and then reflecting on those as well. Self-awareness is definitely needed to grow. The second question you need to ask yourself is, what is your desired outcome? This question also takes a bit of time to answer because it's different for each person and never quite the same for every interaction. However, to reinforce the importance of the first question, the more self-aware you are, the easier it should be to answer this question. Do you want to deepen a current relationship? Are you looking for a new experience? Is there an emotion you want to release or express? This one's important because not expressing our emotion leaves us to building them up. This is why we end up in situations where we spill our built-up emotions onto others when we didn't mean to. Getting built-up emotions in the first place comes from the absence of not having a proper outlet to release that emotion. So the beauty of BDSM and kink is that you can take those emotions and play them through and act them out through scenes, and you can just get them out of your head, out of your body. And not everyone likes expressing their feelings through dialogue. There are some of us that like to express their emotions through physical contact and imagination. When you really think about it, there's a lot of creativity behind it. But also know if you don't have an outlet to release negative emotions, which we all have, it's going to make your body feel like it's heavier. So being able to express a particular emotion on a need-to-need basis gave me an immense amount of emotional control back and freed up a lot of mental headspace, which actually made me feel emotionally, mentally, and physically lighter. And of course, when you need to start thinking about what you want, you need to start looking inwardly. Knowing the emotional, mental, and physical outcome you want out of your experience will help you define the roles that you want you to take and your partner to take. And when you're picking your role, you should be excited about it. This is something that you get to be creative. And remember, you're a creative instrument, so be creative. Just because you haven't let your other personalities out to play doesn't mean that they aren't locked in you. And I know we all have one. The role that you take in your power dynamic partnership is the role that makes you feel powerful. How you feel powerful is solely defined by you. And as much as power exchange relationships are often thought of as only sexual acts, there's a lot of acts within power exchange relationships that aren't sexual at all. For instance, we can take an example of acts of service. So acts of service within a power exchange relationship are non-sexual acts that still provide participants with pleasure through mental power exchange. It's not necessarily the task at hand that's giving participants happiness, but the intention to perform the task for their partner. So the emotional connection to the task is where the focus really is. However, an exchange is still an exchange, so balance is required to prevent feelings of resentfulness or being taken for granted. You need to have balance. Balance is a must. And regardless of what activities you choose to do or the desired outcome, I want you to honor your self-expression by being true to what you want and what your needs are and what your desires, and be transparent with what kind of outcome you really want at the beginning, because this will help you avoid wasted efforts and potential emotional turmoil. You know, the more honest you are up front, You're just saving yourself time. You're saving your partner time. You're just saving everybody time and energy. That's it. And we all spend too much time giving our energy away to too many things that we don't need to. But anyways, the third question to ask yourself is really, again, with the partner, how's the chemistry going? Seriously. Yes, I know physical looks influence our decision to a really great deal, but chemistry is what helps create that connection that you need. Even when all the boxes have been checked off and on paper it looks like this person should be perfect for you, some people just don't click. Chemistry is one of those things that you can't force, and your partner's presence needs to feel natural, easy, kind of like you've known each other longer than you have. Have you ever been in that state where you just met somebody and you're like, wow, I feel super comfortable. It's like I've met you before. That's kind of the energy that you're looking for. And when partners are more connected, it's easier to read body language. Which brings me to a good point about body language that I just want to mention. Differentiating between good and bad body language is necessary for safety for everyone, whether it's witnessing a heartbeat increase, with your own eyes, or the reddening of skin, or shivers, goosebumps, whatever it is. Partners need to understand how their partner's body work or react, because our bodies speak so differently to us. Being comfortable with your partner and having good chemistry and being able to read your partner's body language, these are all elements to build mutual safety and mental security. You want to build a partnership where everyone involved feels that they can share their concerns as well as new ideas without feeling backlash or judgment. And having feelings of safety and mental security go hand in hand with building trust. Trust is important, and the depth of a power exchange relationship or partnership directly reflects the level of trust in that partnership. And this carries a lot of responsibility. Abusing the trust required to be in a power exchange partnership only damages the partnership and creates a lot of room for unnecessary injury or mental mistreatment. Really, I could go on about trust, but it really is the foundation of partnership. You break that, everything you built on it will fall. But jumping back to chemistry, it's also one of those things that helps keep relationships more enjoyable in the long run. However, chemistry is fickle, it doesn't always stay. But long-term partnership is going to be unlikely if you don't have enough chemistry to make it go the long run. But again, don't worry if it goes away. Chemistry is something you can work on to keep it flamed or to get it to come back. But if you're currently single, sometimes meeting the right partner with good chemistry simply requires patience and maybe more self-awareness. Establishing a successful power exchange relationship takes time and requires a lot of different levels of commitment. But asking yourself how self-aware are you, what your desired outcomes are, and how the chemistry is going when you do meet someone will honestly save you a lot of effort, time, and energy. And self-awareness is needed if you want to have the ability to differentiate between natural chemistry and people that just try to kind of put on that fake chemistry. But it's all about trusting your gut and your intuition. Power exchange relationships and partnerships are fun, and you can use them to deepen a relationship you already have with your partner. And when it comes to BDSM and kink, anything done between consenting adults is your business. So don't let the fear of unpopular opinions deter you from trying new things. In my case, power exchange partnerships allowed me to recognize and regulate my physical, mental, and emotional needs. And let me differentiate between aggression and too much aggression, really in a playful environment. It might be ridiculous to say, but I honestly don't believe I was put on this planet to have an average life, and that includes my sex life. I don't think anyone was put on this planet to have an average life. And power exchange activities brought back so much fun. I used to be a bit of a dramatic young thing. Maybe I still am a bit of a dramatic young thing, but now I get to be more of a dramatic young thing during an actual set time and place. But what do you think? What are 3 questions that you think you should ask before entering a power exchange relationship? I would love to hear. Or if you have a question about power exchange partnerships, I'd love to know. But that's it for me. Thank you for listening to 3 questions you should ask yourself before entering a power exchange partnership. I hope it gets your mind thinking. Tune in next time. And as always, stay kinky.